Hey, welcome back to the Ping Pong Flick Show. My name is Chris Wong. I felt compelled to talk about this. And as you probably all know, the big news is that Rotten Tomatoes actually shut down the want to see it, not want to see it score, that percentage away from all the movies on Rotten Tomatoes. And I briefly went on to that last night's video. But I didn't really read much into it until today when I've heard a lot of my favorite YouTubers that I listen to, SC Reviews, The Quartering, Film Gob, Film Junk, all these guys. And I felt compelled to talk about it, and not because it's Captain Marvel or anything like that. It's because how it will affect movies from here on out. As Rotten Tomatoes has been such a big part of getting people to go to the movie theaters. A big part of people going to watch movies that I love, like the DCEU, Batman v Superman. I've been so much into Rotten Tomatoes and trying to and figure out how flawed their system is when I loved Batman v Superman. When I first started this whole channel, it was about Batman v Superman, seeing all the people there disliking it and how much I love it, and seeing what's going on Rotten Tomatoes. So during that time, I really looked into Rotten Tomatoes and really calling it out for it being a very bad scoring, because you get the individual reviews, like the 1 or 2 or 3 stars, 3 out of 5. One review's 3 out of 5, another one's 3 out of 5, but one's rotten and the other one's not. And who decides that rotten or fresh? It's not the reviewer, it's Rotten Tomatoes. And it's been a long time known that even though Rotten Tomatoes is owned, 30% by Warner Brothers and 70% by NBC Universal, you can go watch the Quartering video. Maybe I'll link that in my description. He kind of explains it. I still don't get it. How because NBC Universal is 70%, they're more trying to promote Marvel movies or something like that. I have no idea. I don't know how that works. But I do know the owner of this company is a huge Marvel fan, and he does not like DC movies. I don't know how that would play into all the decision choices, but regardless, the way they're making these reviews and stuff is bad, including other movies such as Battle Angel Alita, Venom, and even the positive movies and stuff like that. There's something going on there where how does Rotten Tomatoes choose what's rotten or fresh when literally the score is about the same? Now, it's a 4 out of 5, of course it's a fresh, but when it comes in that little line, that 60 percentile, it becomes kind of vague, and they decide with their own power to make it rotten or fresh. Now, there's a small little score under that big percentage sign. This is actually what you should actually be looking at, because that's the best average. That's the best average you should be looking at, and that's far from being more rotten or fresh. It could be like 6 out of 10, but it's like lower in the percentage for some reason. So when you look at that, and it becomes a want to see it, not want to see it. It's either fresh or rotten, and there's no there's no in between. It's either you fully see the red, and if it's really in like the 90s and 100s, like certified, but when it gets to like just rotten, it could be around like 50 something percent, and it's rotten. It almost looks to the quick viewer, for GA, general audience, it's like it's a see it or not see it, and it becomes detrimental to movies that should be seen, and judged for yourself. I'm not saying that I like every single movie. There are movies that I don't like, but I tend to want to watch it myself. I've been to movies that I've enjoyed that is rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. So but it's become such a thing. They've become so popular and big that it's becoming controlling, kind of like a hive mind to the general audience, becoming a Yelp review. And I get it. I understand the aggregate thing. I understand the reasoning behind it because they want to make sure you earn your buck. But you're taking your own perceptions, right? And you're actually believing these critics rather than your own opinion. So they have that audience score as well, which is could be good and not good. And there could be a reason to be wondering if all that is truly people, and if it's not truly people. And they can't know because anybody can just sign in rather than the critic score where it has to be actual reviewers. Anybody could sign in and just hop on and click a score, click a thing, sign in. Of course, that can totally happen. And this is not what this video is about. But I am glad that they shut it down. Not because I'm happy they silenced these fans. I think these fans should be heard. But I'm glad they shut down because I want them to shut down the whole thing altogether. I want them to shut down Rotten Tomatoes altogether. But of course they're not going to do that. But Rotten Tomatoes doing this by shutting down the want to see area portion of every single movie, especially after this huge Captain Marvel controversy right after and in response to it. I know they're not going to say that, they pretty much say it's not in response to that, but you know what it is. It's totally in response to that. It looks bad. It looks bad for the credibility of your site. You shouldn't have done that. Or you should have waited until the movie came out and see if maybe that 27% who are interested, meaning there's like about, what's my math? 73% people who don't want to see it. And the box office, you actually see it's shattered, falling further faster rather than flying further faster. If you see it falling and it becomes that solo situation, then you gotta really think that maybe those aren't representative just bots. Maybe those are representative actual fans who don't want to go see it. And so you should take that to heart. And if that's the case, then your site is actually working. But no, they jumped the gun. They turned it off amidst this controversy that's already bad. They're already bad. And now it seems like the narrative is now showing that you're choosing a side. You're choosing the side of the media bloggers who are saying that trolls and things like that. And the media bloggers, they're not helping the situation at all. They're already siding with trolls, saying the trolls and the fans and things like that, instead of putting out more articles to clarify Brie Larson's comments. And she used bad language, and she used words that she shouldn't have used. She should have said things differently, like I said in my other video. But because she said those words, 40-year-old white dudes, it was a cluster, and it was crazy. It would blow out of proportion and things like that, but it's already too late. And that's what happens in this day and time. You say something, it's recorded, it's over and over. The media bloggers, the people attack that instead of saying, hey, calm down, fans. This is clarifications. More on that. No, these bloggers decided to do the opposite and attack the fans. They decided to call them trolls. And of course, that makes it even worse. As now we're at the point where now they're attacking Rotten Tomatoes because Rotten Tomatoes have seemingly chosen a side. And it wouldn't be so bad if they did that. After a while, they'll be like, well, look at all the other movies. But no, they decided to update their cover photo and put Captain Marvel front and center. Oh my, you're not even hiding it at this point. You are not even hiding at this point. I hope you guys just, learn your lesson. Look at all your scores. Look at what's going on with your ratings and stuff, and actually put a good rating. Do a Metacritic type rating. Metacritic has a better rating than you do. in terms of mathematical computations and stuff like that. So I would love to see that happen, not just the audience score, but the critic scores as well. That's my aim about this. And it's just so incredibly quick how the narrative just turned to Rotten Tomatoes, how they've suddenly looks and appears to be really siding one side instead of trying to appease both sides. They've done something what I believe is a bad idea. And truly interesting. I'm really truly interested to see what happens amidst all this controversy. Will Captain Marvel perform as how people are saying in the $150 million opening box office, 120, 100 million, whatever it is? If the box office is lower, much lower than expected, then there is something going on here like Solo that you guys need to look at. You know, I'm talking to you Rotten Tomatoes, I'm talking to Marvel and everything. There's something about here that you need to look at, because you can't just be calling out people. There's a lot of YouTube videos, and I see them. I've listened to them. Hundreds and thousands of followers, all saying the same thing. The Rotten Tomatoes Facebook, all the comments are real people saying the same thing, that they disapprove of this, calling you a Disney shill and stuff like that. It's bad, and you may have blinded by the fact of media bloggers and stuff. They are trying to control the narrative. So I hope after all this, and if you and I could be wrong, and we could all be wrong, and Captain Marvel is soaring high. No one gives, no one gives about it. It will be 180, 200 million. I don't know, maybe it'll make $1 billion in the box office. Who knows? But if it's the other way, as a company, you got to look at, say, something. You got to look at the fans and say, hey, you're right, man. We messed up. You messed up on that. Of course, they won't admit it, but hopefully some things will change. And just like The Last Jedi and Solo and then Episode 9, I'm very curious to see how Episode 9 turns out. I'm very curious about that. So anyway, that's it for this video. I just want to comment on that real quick and share my thoughts on this whole situation. But I kind of like how this is going in the way where Rotten Tomatoes hopefully is learning that they're just not that powerful, and they cannot just do things what they want to do, and they're not hopefully learn from it and be better at scoring, be better, more responsible of their site and the way they exude themselves, I guess we would say. So there's that. And I also hope that the general audience and the public finally realize how much Rotten Tomatoes shouldn't be trusted before you watch a movie. You should go in on your own and decide for yourself. All right, guys. Well, that is it. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.